Rhonda worked alone in the evening hours of the quaint small town village tea shop. The shop offered an extravagant selection of loose tea from all across the globe. Black teas, green teas, healing teas, all sorts of colors and shapes and sizes. That night was just like any other for Rhonda. The last rush of the evening hours dissipated shortly after 7 p.m., and all the tables needed to be cleaned away and wiped down, and a handful of tea kettles needed to be washed and scrubbed in the kitchen sink, and the teacups needed to be loaded into the dishwasher, and each chair needed to be set back into its place, and all the sugar needed to be refilled, and the silverware, yes, the silverware needed to be set into the dishwasher as well. It always got very quiet in the small town after 7 p.m., and the sidewalks outside always went dark and silent except for one street lamp which always had a flicker. Yes, the sidewalks always went empty and silent, as if the mid of the night suddenly struck and sent everyone into a slumber upon their private pillows, tucked away behind the curtains of each house, just across the street from the small town tea shop, in the center of town. Off to the side. Yes, it always gets very dark and quiet all of a sudden, just shortly after that 7 p.m. hour. Rhonda was working alone that night when it happened. Yes, when the front doorbells rang against the front door glass to let her know that someone had entered into the tea shop. Upon the ringing of the bell and the sound of his footsteps off in the distance, she set the tea kettle back down into the sink drain and hurried out to the front of the store. When she entered the room, she felt ice cold, as if someone had opened the door to the North Pole or Antarctica. Goosebumps shot across her arms. The man's eyes were as black as coal, solid black, and his voice held a hypnotic tone as he spoke and asked if she had a special tea, a name she could never recall ever since this visit. No, and it was a tea, he said, that had kept him alive for centuries, and that he was nearing his end now, and that he needed to find the tea to sustain, to survive, and his eyes were solid black as he stared deep into hers, and the room felt cold. And he kept talking to her and talking of how lovely she was, and how pretty too, and how she reminded him of so many wives he had over the centuries. The last one, especially that last one in Scotland, yes. And she had never felt such terror before, such true terror. Never such terror as when she met him, that gentle-looking gentleman with the solid black eyes, as dark as black coal. That man who was looking for that tea to sustain and survive. That man with the black eyes, who said she would never see him again, yes. The man with the black cape, who looked like he was from 1850s London, Beware if you work in a specialty tea shop, beware that this man just might come and terrify you. This, my friends, was a true story shared by an old friend who had no incentive to lie, an old friend who knew no one else would ever believe her, though I did. Fare thee well, friends and neighbors, fare thee well.